They're just going to go crazy. If you're doing something conservative, they're going to go crazy. They're not going to let you do that.
Okay. By the way, Johnny Mac, yes? Is that what they called you?
Back in the day, yep, that works still.
It does? I have permission?
I think so, yeah. Johnny Mac, sure. Yeah,
or
it works.
When it's formal and official, it's John McEntee.
I think Johnny Mac works.
I think Johnny Mac for today works perfectly.
I think it's
so
good.
Johnny Mac, the founder of the Right Stuff dating app.
Yes.
Which is only since 2022, right? A couple of years?
Yeah, we're in year 2. We came out right at the end of 22.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I freaking love it.
Thank you.
I need to know, and I know you've been asked this many times, but trust me, it'll lead somewhere. Where did this idea come from?
Yeah.
A dating app that's for conservatives specifically. Go.
It actually came from a friend of ours who was a girl, and she was like, all my girlfriends only want to date Republican men. You should make a dating app for Republicans. And we kind of thought, wait, that's brilliant. You know, we were thinking of getting into the alternative tech space, like there's a right-wing version of YouTube and the right-wing version of Twitter at the time. And, you know, all these new things are coming and becoming big. And she was like, well, do that, but for dating. Like, all my girlfriends just want to date Republicans. And we thought, that could kind of work. I have 2 co-founders. They worked in the administration. We were thinking about what to do in
the Trump administration.
In the Trump administration. Once that was ending, I was like, where do we go from here? We wanted to start a business. So we brought that idea to an investor. He liked it, and we kind of just started working on it from there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, just like that. I love that. So you can, thank you ladies for always just blurting out whatever's on
Women
your
have
mind.
great ideas sometimes. You know?
Nice qualifier at the end. Sometimes, yes. But that process sounds daunting to me.
Yeah, I mean, creating an app is, you know, it sounds fun and cool, and you know, it's so much work. You have to hire developers. Do you hire them in-house? Do you hire them, you know, do you outsource it but keep it in the US? Do you outsource it but keep it overseas? It's cheaper, but the products are, you know, so you're doing all these different things. I mean, now we have a really good team. We have, you know, an in-house guy. He went to Berkeley, he's super smart. And then we outsource a little bit of our front-end work, but like just piecing it together, hiring a creative team to like come up with some designs. You know, we know what we want it to look like, but I think a lot of Republican products sometimes miss the mark. They, you know, they don't look cool, or they look, you know, a little too boomer, or they're, you know, it's just like, we want it to be cool and fun and like a cool brand that people are, you know, excited to be a part of and not turned off by it in any way.
Right.
So we really wanted to get the creative down, and then obviously we wanted to get the marketing and, you know, that aspect of it down.
Was there pushback at all from people that you approached to help, like with the initial stages, because it was right-wing, because it was Republican, conservative?
So, I mean, because we kept it all in the family, no. But even just when we launched it with Apple, they were like, oh, we're not taking dating apps anymore. We're like, now, was that because it was conservative? Maybe not, but we thought, we did all this work. We have the product we want to put in the App Store. And they were telling us, no, we have too many dating apps. Like, well, you know, so we fought that. It took like a week, and we got it resolved. But other than that, I think we were kind of all just mission focused and the same group of people working together. The creative team was good. The developers were fine. They don't care about it being right wing.
Yeah, make me money.
Yeah. So it worked.
What's the mission?
I think the mission is always to just help the conservative movement any way we can. And we wanted to start a business. Obviously, we want to make money. We want to be successful. But also, you know, we all worked in government. We all worked for Trump. We all believe in what we're doing. And if you're a conservative in New York or LA or anywhere else, sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm all alone. No one here has my views. No, millions of people do. You just don't know where they are. You don't know how to find them. People were hiding them. You know, the mood of the country has changed since we started this, and it's gotten more right-wing. People have gotten more accepting of these views. You know, you can see that shifting. But at that time, everyone was scared to say they were a Trump supporter, a conservative, a Republican. And we just didn't want people to feel that way. So we said, you know, just everyone here is kind of right of center to right politically. We kind of are all conservative somewhat, you know, socially or culturally. And we just want to have a normal dating experience and just go out and have fun. We don't want to, you know, this is the COVID time when we're thinking about it. Like, we don't want to just sit in our basement with our mask, and like, we want to go out. We want to meet people. So that's kind of where it stemmed from.
So it's so interesting to think about those female friends of yours saying, all my girls only want to date Republican men. What was their why behind that?
I think they view them as more masculine, and I think even if they have fun with anyone, they want a more traditional dating experience,
Mm.
especially if they want it to lead to marriage. So as we get older, I'm 34 now. When I was starting this, maybe I was 30. Um, the women, they're looking for something more serious. And when you want that, you want somebody that's a little more traditional. Who do you want to raise a family with? Do you want to try to do that with somebody that doesn't see the world the same way? Pretty difficult, especially now the way the country is. So I think they're going from that point of view. Most girls want someone like their dad. They want somebody that goes to work, somebody that
Yeah.
provides for their family, somebody that makes them feel feminine So um, I think most just want sort of a traditional experience and
Mhm.
want to end up with somebody that believes in God and wants children and, is patriotic and shares their views and kind of sees the world the same
Right.
way. Yeah.
What are the I have not been on.
Yeah.
Um, I did a dating app once. I was married for 20 years. I've been divorced for almost 5. And at my age and my early 50s, like it's a whole different world. And then if you're, in the spotlight a little bit,
Yeah.
it's a whole other. So I did one with Raya.
Right. Yeah. That's the celebrity one.
I did not belong on that for many reasons. I'm like, I'm afraid to if I like someone, then what if they don't write back? And then I would hurt. Then I'd turn it off. And I'd come back and they wouldn't write back. I was like, I'm done. Like they're intimidating
Yeah, that's
to
true.
people.
Yeah, they can be overwhelming.
Oh, scary. And the rejection if someone doesn't hurt you back.
Right.
Like it's a whole thing. So I
Well,
was on
they
and
probably
off.
just didn't see it if they didn't hurt you
Oh,
back.
right. No,
But yeah, no,
but it is intimidating. And so, like, first of all, what are the filters? Can you filter based on? And I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for a friend. Can you filter based on age? Based on like, what are the filters?
So for us, the biggest filter and most important filter is already done for you.
Which is huge.
Which is huge because people on other apps will say, well, maybe I can filter for a Republican. Well, not really, because no one's really honest. And then
they're afraid to be honest.
or you have to pay to do that. And then people like use code language, So the biggest filter is done. We all know we're conservative.
Right.
Then other than that, I mean, you can filter for age and location because maybe you don't want to match with somebody in New York.
Right.
You want to just see who's in California or whatever.
Yes.
So just those two for now. We might expand it a little, but
Mhm.
we like keeping it a little more broad. People say, well, we want filters for this and that, and height, and I kind of get it, but also,
Listen, I'm gonna say that one matters.
yeah,
The height.
the
thing?
height one matters, but maybe the religion or some of these
Yeah.
other ones get a little too specific, and it's like, if you meet a guy or a girl at the grocery store, you don't know what religion they are. You just
Mhm.
have chemistry and you like talk to them. And it's like,
Mhm.
we don't want you to like
You're
limit
right.
yourself
You're right.
and be like, I'm only, we all know we're conservative
Mhm.
and we all know we want to date someone in our age range or something. But other
Ish.
than that,
Yeah.
ish, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, other than that, we kind of just let it play out.
Okay. How has it evolved in the you're near to? It's young.
It's constantly evolving. So there's different features that have evolved. We get feedback from users and we want to update things. We're making a sort of a new activity page. We had a date page where you could post a date and say like, I'm going to this baseball game. Does anybody want to go to that? And now we're making it even more like all encompassing of just posting like what you're doing and making it more of a social thing, just as another way to interact. Cause like maybe you post a picture of bike riding and then people are like, wait, I like doing that as well. Maybe we should go out. So the app and the features have evolved. Obviously, people have been meeting on the app, so it's cool. We're up to 24 marriages,
Are
and
you really?
that I know of.
Wait, in just your second year?
Yeah. Well, how many of them have actually been married? At least 24 people have been engaged. 24 couples engaged. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Most
though.
have already been married or in the process of getting married. Yeah. I call it
They're
America.
moving.
They're moving very quick.
That means it was a good match.
Yeah.
They're not going to waste any time.
I think also that goes to show who's on this app. It's people
Yeah.
looking for that. They don't want to just go on Tinder and go out for the weekend, haha. They're like looking for something real, So when they do meet and they do hit it off, they're ready to move. And like that's kind of cool to see as well. So yeah, we have the marriages, we have the first right stuff baby on the way. I'm still looking for that thing. They sent us a message months ago, like, we're having a baby. And I'm like, where are you? I keep messaging people, send us that again. I lost track. But So there's that. It's fun to see, you know.
That is really cool. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of things, and we'll talk certainly more about what you have done in the past too,
Yeah.
more serious and difficult at times as well. But what you're trying, and this is a business too. So yes, it's fun and all that, but like, okay, there is a mission here. Number one, to help people find love, but also again, it's a business. There's a part of that entrepreneurial
Yeah.
that matters, right? But at the end of the day, you are doing something to try to help others create happiness.
Yeah.
That seems very intentional.
Yeah, I mean, it's super fulfilling. I mean, when you work in government and politics, all of the work is very fulfilling. You know, you see things you're doing and it's like, wow, this is really making an impact on people's lives. So to go from that, there's nothing quite like that. It's like, how do
Mm-hmm.
you get that? You
Mm-hmm.
know, this is something where actually you kind of do. You know, you're creating families, and yeah, at the end of the day, it's a business. Obviously,
Right.
we're in it to succeed, but to have those two things tied together is
Have
pretty
you?
amazing.
Are you single?
Yeah, I'm not married. Yeah.
It's a situationship,
I
right?
don't
What?
know about that. You know, I actually did a thing to promote the app last summer and went on 50 first dates,
No, I didn't
matching
know that.
with girls from the app. And
Okay.
we had a blast, like fun things, you know, concerts and, you
Yeah.
know, just to kind of like get the word
So
out.
did
And
you meet someone through your app?
yeah, I've
Why
dated.
are you not making eye contact right
I
now,
mean,
Sean?
you know, I date and like, you know, we hit it off with a few, but there's nothing too serious right now. I'm definitely focused on the business and, you know, helping others find love.
Okay, that was really, really terrible. You
Yeah.
did not hide that well at
Well, I
all.
don't know. Everyone always asks, like, well, you're single. It's like, I don't know. I'm helping everyone else.
Are you single?
Yeah, I'm single. Yeah.
Because like for some reason you looked away when I
No, I was looking at the camera to the viewer at home.
you're like,
But
I'm talking to the camera.
yes, I am single. No. Yeah. Yeah, I'm single. Yeah.
Okay, does she know that?
Um, yes, she knows that. Oh man, this is an intervention. I'm sweating. Yeah.
No, but like I think it's probably a little difficult when it's your baby, you know, your creation, co-creation, and at the same time, I'm sure you want to someday get married and have
Yeah, of
children,
course.
and
Yeah.
so right, like can you do both? Can you work to perfect this app and help others while
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah, I think you can do
time?
both. Yeah. Eventually. Yeah.
Is it hard?
Yeah. No, I mean, no, it's just like if the right thing happens, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll change the subject.
Yeah,
Fine.
please. Yeah. Change. Cut.
We edit nothing. Even if I
Okay.
screw up and call someone by the wrong name, we edit nothing
That's probably better
on the show. No. What was your family's reaction
too.
to the idea, to the concept,
Oh, they love it.
and to
Yeah.
what it's turned into? Because it's turned into a lot.
Yeah. No, I mean they're always super supportive in whatever. You know, I could say I'm opening like an ice cream place and they'd love
Yeah,
it
yeah,
and
yeah.
think it's the best ice cream ever. So yeah, it's been fun. Super supportive like always. They've been supportive in my political career and now
Mm-hmm.
they like to see this, you know. I'm sure my mom like passes out the stickers and, you know, we give
Mm-hmm.
the merch to all the friends and family and spread the
Has there
word.
been any negativity?
Well, I mean, there's always gonna be, like, random online negativity, but, like, you just kinda block that out, especially because we have a
Yeah.
big social media following,
That's what I
like,
mean.
you get
Yeah.
some hate, but, like, we don't really, like, look at it or care about it, you know, if it's too crazy, we just block it, but it's, like, almost like if you just ignore it, it goes away,
It does. Yeah.
and when we first started the app, the weirdest thing was the negative media around it because it was literally fake, and it was like, "Wait, what is their obsession with this narrative?" Like they were trying to get all these different narratives around the app out before it was even launched. Like there's no women
Wow.
on this app. This is like infiltrated by the FBI and like all of these crazy things. And me and my colleagues like, what is this about? You know, and like we had a list of people to sign up for the app early, so we had people on it when we were ready. And all we focused on was women, because it's like you always get the guys,
Of
you know, if
course.
the women are
Yes.
there, it's like they're all gonna
You
come.
guys are easy.
So we
Yeah.
had all these lists, all these women that signed up, you know, it was like 90% women. But then, you know, there's like all these articles saying no one's signing up, it's all men. And it's just like, oh, they're just like, one, like, why are they doing this? Why do they care so much? Like, wow, they really don't want to see it succeed for some reason.
Isn't that funny?
And then two was like, I guess they can just make this up and just run with it. And like every article was tagging another article, and like it was really weird. And this was
What
like,
does that say
yeah,
to
this was
you?
in the fall of 22. It was fascinating to see that. We just ignored it and kept doing our work and kept, but it was like, they're really trying to sink this for no reason other than the fact that it's a conservative dating app. They don't want to see it, do well.
Okay, let's reverse that because I actually like, maybe I'm biased, but I actually can't imagine that happening in the reverse order. Where if
Whoa,
this was a
yeah.
liberal dating app, like liberals only, progressives only,
Yeah.
would a conservatives, I mean, there probably some,
I
but
mean,
like for the most part in articles, well, no, because the media,
well, we don't control the media. Conservatives don't control the
exactly,
media. So,
yeah,
like, I could imagine if the left-wing version of the right stuff came out, the left
the
stuff,
le-
I could imagine one Fox News article making fun of it, but that's about it.
well,
This was like,
the name would be really lame.
yeah,
You wouldn't be able to call it the left stuff like
yeah, it
that.
doesn't work.
It doesn't. They'd have to work a little harder to be a little bit more
Yeah,
creative. No.
swipe left or
So
whatever.
prices are up, quality is not, and there are more imports than ever. So it's time to be smart, just like me, obviously, and get your meat from Good Ranchers. Who's Good Ranchers? Well, let me tell you, GoodRanchers.com is the #1 place to get 100% American meat this summer. So celebrate the sweet taste of freedom with savory meats conveniently delivered right to your door. And they're all raised and made right here in the good old USA. No matter what the occasion, Good Ranchers has you covered. In fact, right now, you can actually save on Good Ranchers meat like never before. Subscribe to any Good Ranchers box now and get $100 off, plus free American Wagyu burgers for a year. So it's more than just a great deal. It's also, get this, it's a chance to support American family farms and enjoy the highest quality American meat. All you have to do to claim the offer is go to goodranchers.com and subscribe to any of their custom curated boxes filled with 100% American beef, chicken, pork, or wild-caught seafood. Pick your box. Use my code SAGE at goodranchers.com to claim your $100 off and free Wagyu burgers for a year. This is the time to subscribe and leave that low-quality imported meat at the grocery store. Leave it behind. If you needed any other reason to support Good Ranchers, they're not only amazing partners of this show, but they support the paralyzed veterans of America too. Every single order saves American farms and supports American veterans. So change the way you buy meat today at goodranchers.com with my code SAGE to claim your $100 off, plus those free American Wagyu burgers for an entire year. Make the summer unforgettable with goodranchers.com, American meat delivered. I think it is fascinating though to think about the fact that you thought enough of it and your girlfriends thought enough of it to say, let's go on this. The part about women looking for more traditional men. Like 10 years ago, I can't imagine something like this being as well received. I think timing is everything,
For sure. Yeah, I mean, the way the culture's gone with dating and then the way the country has gone with politics, unfortunately, this is the world we're living in. We say, like, we wish this wasn't needed.
Yeah.
We don't like that the country's divided. We don't like that, dating is so hard. But because the world is as it is, like, we're going to, try to help people out and, like, do the best we can. And there's a market for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. You've said it a few times about Trump politics, working in the Trump organization. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think the most important, fascinating fact about you is that you were a quarterback, a college quarterback.
I was
Like
not as good as Dan Orlovsky, but the
goodness
same
gracious.
college. Yes, the
So that
University of
means
Connecticut.
we lived just a few miles from each other for a long time.
Yeah.
When you were playing quarterback and I was at ESPN.
That's right.
And
May have crossed paths.
may have crossed paths, but we're gonna show video.
Oh boy, the trick shot.
Yeah, you're lucky we don't have a monitor here right now. But when this podcast airs, take a look below me.
Okay.
The trick shot video is insane.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Was that your first experience going super viral with
Sure,
something?
I think it was like most people's first experience seeing something viral. YouTube at the time.
What year was this?
This was 2010,
10? Yeah.
maybe? Yeah. Maybe 2009. It was a long time ago in terms of like things going viral and trick shots. And, this was one of the first things that I remember going viral in like the trick shot world, and it was
That's true.
It was like so big, and it was actually us making fun of a women's basketball player at Yukon that was a friend of mine. She made one, you know, she made a video doing similar things with a basketball, and the women's basketball at Yukon is everything.
Yukon. Yep.
So
Yep.
my guy friends are like, "Oh, you should do something making fun of her, but with a football." And that's what actually we did.
Oh,
And her thing blew up. Everyone on campus was talking about it. Got 200,000 views, which was crazy at the time.
Yeah.
200,000 views on YouTube. People were going nuts. And then, so I was like, oh, okay, so I can do one. At that time, I was like third string. So all I did all day was like, mess around with the football. So we did it, and then we posted it, and in 2 days, it got 7 million views. So.
Oh, I didn't know it was that high. 2 days and 7 million.
Yeah, so at the time, like, that was a lot.
Well, 200,000 was a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Much less 7 million. Yeah, yeah.
And it
Okay.
stayed there. Like, people were like, doesn't it go up when people mention, like, not really, it's always been at like 7
But
million.
there's a lot on there. I mean, the number of things, like, did you go to class for a
Not
while?
much. Not much. I was not a good student. Yeah.
It's okay. You've done okay since.
Yeah.
But like in order to perfect those trick shots, right?
A lot of messing around. Yeah. Like when you're in high school, you mess around. I would try to like hit the freshman with the football, like stuff like that, like, and you just get good at weird stuff.
Yeah.
There's a door and like nobody ever wanted to run up and open it. So I figured out a way to how to, bounce the ball and open it. So we didn't, because we were lazy. So you get, you innovate.
So you innovate, but not everybody can be that accurate with innovation, no matter how hard they practice.
Right. Well, any decent quarterback could, but yeah.
No, really?
I mean,
some of those are sick.
yeah. And, it takes time and like, because people at the time were always like, could Tom Brady do this? Like, yes. But he doesn't want to sit in the parking lot and have his wide receiver throw plates in the air.
He has a life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He has a life. He's not like a college kid with a snow day that has nothing to do,
There were a lot of snow days back then. Yes,
Yeah.
I was in them. How many people got hurt in doing these?
Got hurt?
Yeah.
None.
No, but like sometimes I'm trying to remember just one from
like
like
the
the back
bottle
of
on
the
the head
classroom, and then
Oh, yeah, it hits his hand or.
nobody. You
No,
didn't
there
conk
were no
anybody?
injuries. There were no injuries.
Well, nothing that we saw.
Yeah. Other than actually, I still have like an elbow problem to this day from the last shot, which is like
Which was the last
inside the arena, and it's like so far, and I had to do it like 50 times, and I wore out my arm. Finally we got it, but that was tough.
I love it. Like and the other thing is, okay, you came out of high school pretty good quarterback, right? You're going to D1 school.
Yeah, decent.
Yeah, you're very humble. It's okay. I mean,
No, I walked on.
I'm not saying.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
that you're gonna go. You thought you'd ever go be the #1 overall pick.
Yeah.
But to have options
Mhm.
and to walk on at a major school, that's a big deal, right?
That was great. Yeah.
And so during that time, you're experiencing college, but you're like, well, what are your fondest memories? Because to me, one of the most important parts of the college athlete experience, which I didn't get to do, my next life, I'm like, I'll be a good athlete my next life.
Yeah.
Lord, help me do that. That's priceless when you have those moments
Oh,
with
yeah.
teammates, whether it's on the bus or trying to do trick shots.
No, being with your teammates, there's nothing like it because it's a little different than being with your friends just because of all the terrible circumstances you're put in and you have to go through together. And you guys can like laugh through that. That builds like such a special bond,
Yeah.
It's like we're all miserable, all 100 of us, and we're all friends, but we're like, we got to get through this. We got to do our 6 a.m. workout. No one wants to be there. It's just such camaraderie you don't really find elsewhere. I mean,
Mhm.
the military, because that's even a more insane level. And football, I think, it would be this distant second. But like, you're put in all these situations. You got coaches yelling at you. There would be times we'd be running and, we'd be in trouble or whatever. And my buddy would turn to me and be like, I wish my dad didn't like this so much. I want to quit, and it's like,
Yes.
we're all feeling the same way, like, gosh, our dads love this, like,
Exactly.
but
Why? I mean, for a California kid
yeah,
from Orange County, right, to go to Connecticut,
yeah.
why? Why choose
It
that?
actually just kind of worked out. I was in New York with my mom just visiting. I had never been and she wanted to take me. And one of the Yukon coaches called us when we were there and was like, hey, we'd love for you to check out Yukon. And I was like, well, I'm here in New York right now. Like, let's just drive over. And, you drive over, there's the facility, it's Division I. I knew I probably wanted to do something different, leaving Orange County. You're in a bubble in Orange County. So you kind of want to leave and see something new. So the timing was just great. And like, it was a great opportunity. I'm obviously glad I did it.
Yeah. What did you, I mean, I think all of us as kids going to college, you come out a different person.
Yeah.
You learn so much. It's like, oh, accountability. Oh, I'm gonna fail if I don't get up, and my mom's not here to make sure I don't sleep through my
Yeah.
alarm. You know,
And college sports like a full-time job.
it
You know?
is.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So, were you able to experience, besides the team stuff, which was, you know, fun at times, but with that full-time job, like, were you able to experience life as a real college student?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's still plenty of time for that. Any more, you probably get into trouble. You know, it's probably the right amount of that.
Probably
Yeah.
the structure is probably
Yeah.
helpful.
Like
Yeah.
the winter is, you know, you have fun because it's the off season. The summer, you're there training, but like the campus is quiet, so you can like just have fun with the guys.
Yeah.
Like there's different periods that like you
Mhm.
still get all that spring weekend,
Sure.
you know,
Okay, so when you started in what? When did you graduate? 11?
12.
12. So 08-ish?
Yeah.
When you started, like, who was Johnny Mac from freshman year to graduation? Like, how did you change as a young man? Because
Oh
you had the
man.
sports side of it too to really influence that growth.
Yeah, I mean, I think just getting comfortable like living on your own and doing
Yeah.
your own thing and having your own place, even if your parents are paying for it or whatever, just having like your own life, you know, kind of makes you an adult, I guess.
But you're 3,000 miles across the country. Most kids who are going to Yukon or some of those Northeast schools, you know, Midwest might be as far away as they're from.
Yeah,
But like you couldn't just hop, you know, drive down the road and go see mom and dad.
right. Well, I mean, my dad went to a lot of games, but he
You
made
hop
it
on the
work.
plane and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But no, yeah, I mean, just that independence, you know, and
yeah,
then learning how to manage your time. I mean, I didn't do well in school, but even just managing the football schedule and um, you know, just learning how to live on your own,
hmm
it's a good experience, and it made you comfortable doing uncomfortable things,
oh
you know?
yeah,
So when I wanted to move to New York or join the Trump campaign on a whim or, you know, you kinda get used to doing things that are a little scary, which
yeah.
is probably best.
Nick Saban was on the show once when I was doing Sports Center, and I don't know if this is his line, but I credit him because I haven't forgotten it since. But the key to greatness, key to any success, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's a good one,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I don't. I'm like, oh, I'm really good at being uncomfortable in a lot of different ways
Yeah,
now. You know, so and you are too. Like you've had to push through
yeah,
a lot, right?
yeah.
Like no, no, no. The positive is I'm really good at this.
Mm.
Right after graduation, you did what?
Move home.
Hmm?
Um, I'm home for 2 years before I moved to New York. During that time, I'm not working immediately. Then I get a job with a food company in Southern California. It's a great job. Do that for a year and then decide like I want to do something else. So I decide I'm going to move to Texas on a whim. I don't know why. And like a week or two before, my sister's like, "What are you going to do in Texas? Move to New York. There's way more opportunity there." And I was like, "Fine, I'll move to New York." So I moved to New York,
I
you
love
know,
it.
and I just start doing odd jobs. I live with my friend's girlfriend on her couch, and it's really fun. And then I get an entry level job at Fox, which wasn't a great fit.
Fox News?
Yep.
Okay.
And then worked there for a few months,
Why
and
wasn't that
then
a great fit?
it was the digital team. So I just, if I was on the television side, I probably would have enjoyed it more. It just wasn't a great fit. But I was doing it. And then one day in June of 2015, Donald Trump makes his Golden Escalator announcement. And I'm sitting in my cubicle at Fox and I'm like, I'm out of here. You know, I just like was like, this is it. So I just showed up as a volunteer in the Trump
Okay,
campaign.
that's not back up.
Yeah, I know.
So we all have that vision in our minds,
Yeah.
right, of the golden escalator
Oh
and how
yeah.
much
Oh,
that
I
changed.
remember it.
Oh my gosh, right? The world changed
Yeah.
when it came down that escalator. What was it about that moment that hit you?
Yeah, so I think there was obviously like the star power, but that was only a little bit of it. I think it was mostly about what he was saying. And like I'm super conservative and I thought like, wow, he's speaking to like the base. He's speaking to like the forgotten people in the movement, like when he talks about trade and not wanting these wars and immigration and like things like a lot of Republicans had abandoned and been like, nope, we have to be for unlimited immigration. Nope, we have to be for globalization. And, you know, it doesn't matter if all our jobs go to China. Nope, we have to intervene in the Middle East and send our troops over, you know. And then he came and was like, no, 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 we're not doing any of that. And like, that just resonated. I thought, this is going to be popular. I had a feeling he would win. Everyone was like, no way, no chance. I was like, I think so. So I just start emailing the Trump campaign every day from my cubicle at Fox
Saying
until they
what?
finally accept me. Actually, the Trump campaign at the time had no infrastructure. There wasn't even a website. I kept Googling, I couldn't find it.
What do
So
you mean? It's
there was
15?
nothing.
You're kidding.
So yeah, Corey Lewandowski, what were you doing if you're watching this? So I was emailing the Trump golf course, Ivanka's clothing company. I was like, how do I get involved? Where do I go? And actually somebody from one of Ivanka's lines was like, here's the email you need, info@donaldtrump.com. And I was like, oh, okay. So I emailed it every day when I got to work. It was part of my routine for like 2 weeks. No one ever responded. So I finally sent an email and I said, apparently the Trump campaign doesn't have anyone to check emails. I'll take that job and I'll do it for free.
Oh my gosh,
And they're
that's
like,
brilliant.
yeah, they're like, okay, come do it.
That took some cojones.
Yeah, I mean, it felt right. Yeah. It really
Going back
seemed
to-
obvious to me. I know, it didn't really to a lot of other people, but it's like, oh, I have to get in. Like this is going to be big.
How old were you then? In
Like
2015?
24, 25.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
25,
that's some
yeah.
interesting insight and kind of like just a gut feeling
Yeah.
for you to have at that age. No?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I mean, your
yeah.
friends weren't, but no one else thought about that, it seems like.
No, I mean, I had just been thinking more about politics. I was reading a lot at the time, like just kind of like thinking like, what do I believe? Like I'm from Southern California. I've seen it change, all of these things. And it's like, it culminated in this one moment where I'm watching this man. I'm like, oh, this is going to work.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that email is the one that got the response?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the interns there was like, okay, like we'll come by, John. Shout out to John. And I showed up and like, I was shocked by what I saw. Like there was nothing. There was 4 interns in a room. There was a campaign manager and his assistant. And it was just a huge floor that they used to house all the apprentice props. It was just like nothing.
No way.
And I was like, this is the Trump campaign? I thought it was going to be like offices and,
Of course.
it was just fold out tables. Yeah. Some phones.
So what did you do?
I just started with the interns, just opening mail, answering phones, sending people bumper stickers, just, yeah. Yeah, it was crazy.
I'm shocked, actually.
Yeah.
For someone who runs such a great business. I mean,
Yeah.
many businesses, right? I mean, obviously he wasn't like boots on the ground in that room organizing, but like that's shocking that that's all it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a one-man show, so that was the campaign. And then watching it grow over time as it got more and more real, as you go through the primaries and then becoming a general election candidate. I mean, it was fascinating to see. It's like being the 4th employee at Google or something. You just watch this thing explode. And like, it was cool.
How did you specifically help it grow?
Well, I mean, I just did my job, but in just, you just work your way up. So since there was no one there, the first debate comes up when he says like Rosie O'Donnell, the famous line. And I've been working there maybe a month, and Corey, the campaign manager, comes in and is like, hey, it's like 6 a.m. I'm like the only person there. He's like, hey, we have the first debate coming up. You need to go out and help the advance team. There's this guy, George, he'll hook you up. Like, just help him set up the hotel, check out the green room. Like, they just need some help. I was like, amazing, like, great. What's an advance team? So I learned.
Yeah.
I was like, yep, sign me up. So I did that. And then, I'm on the road with George. He's like, what we really need is like a scheduler that like schedules for the candidate. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that too. So I was like, became the scheduler, and like 1 o'clock, Mr. Trump departs Trump Tower, the whole day schedule. So I do that for a while. And then as the campaign's growing, they're like, okay, we have staff in all of these places that need hotel rooms and rental cars. And like, so we need you to book all their travel. So I became like that person. It just kind of grows. And then, as he's the general election candidate, Jared's like, we need a staffer with the candidate full time.
Oh my
And like,
gosh.
we all know you, we all trust you, like you be good. Why don't you travel with them? And you'll be the contact and you'll make sure the food's on the plane and the people on the ground, and it's like, it just keeps building and, yeah.
No, no big deal.
No, I
big
mean,
deal.
it just
but
like,
It evolved. It wasn't
Yeah.
an overnight thing. Were there moments during that process where you kind of like on your, walk back to your apartment, it's like, I can't believe what I just did today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure, several
Yeah. Are
times.
there any moments that stand out in
The
particular
first time
that
Donald Trump came in the office, the
yeah.
first time I went on the Trump plane.
Okay, go. I need first time you came in the office, what happened?
Yeah, I mean, the first time he came in the office, because you see him on TV, he's just this larger than life figure, and you're sitting there answering phones, Trump for president, and then he walks by, and you're like, oh my God, like this is real. I'm actually working here, and I'm actually, hopefully making a
Helping.
difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So that was the first time, and then after that Rosie O'Donnell debate, I got to fly back on the plane because we went out in advance, and yeah, when I walked by him, Corey's like, this guy's helping us out. He's working here. And he was like, is this guy like a male model? I was like 25. So that always stuck in my mind. I was like,
Yeah, absolutely. I can hear him saying that. He's
Yeah.
just giving you like the once over. Like,
Yeah.
well, and he's tall. Well, how tall are you?
I'm 6'2".
You're 6. I feel like you're taller than that. No,
No,
am I
I'm
shrinking?
6'2". He's
Well, you have
probably a little
heels
bit
on
taller
today.
than me.
Those shoes
Yeah.
have an extra inch, maybe. 6'2", 6'3". I feel like when I met him, I was surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty tall.
He's
He's
big
taller
guy,
than me. Yeah.
and at his age too, like he still has such a presence.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but I imagine as a kid, like I say that relatively speaking,
Yeah, yeah.
right? I mean, so you're on Air Force One.
Trump
I'm
Force
sorry,
One.
Trump
Yeah.
Force One. Not at that point, it wasn't Air Force One
Right.
yet. Trump Force One. I love that. That's what it was called. So you're walking up the steps again.
I'm
Like,
walking
and you
just no,
can't
I'm
be
walking through like where his like living room area is. Yeah.
yeah, and you can't be like, because
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
on, whatever fancy airways and
Oh, yeah, yeah, no.
Dubai where you'd be videoing and putting on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
No, you can't do that with this. But I imagine I'm putting myself in your shoes, like trying to absorb every part of that,
Yeah.
especially during what was, even at the time, you knew it was a historical campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could feel it everywhere we went, It was pretty powerful. And like at that time, I was like, oh my God, I'm on like the Trump plane. It's the coolest thing ever. I didn't know I was going to be on it 150 more times. I had no idea. Traveling all the last 6 months of that campaign, we're doing 4, 5, 6 stops a day, and it's like watching this unfold is like, whoa.
What would you tell your parents? What were they saying?
Oh, they thought it was the coolest thing ever.
I'm putting myself in
Yeah,
their shoes as a
yeah.
parent, and to see the chances that you took.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, I won't go to Texas. I don't go to New York, and I'm going to sleep on someone's couch, and
Yeah,
then I'm
yeah.
going to go to Fox and not be happy, and actually do something about it.
Yeah.
Because some people, it's like, well, I'm at Fox News or I'm at CNN, and it's a big network, and I'm here as a
Right.
20-some-year-old. Like you could have stayed really comfortable on that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just saw an opportunity and jumped on it.
And so, what did your title like? What was the evolution of your title?
Yeah. So intern, I guess, was the first
Okay,
title.
intern, yes.
Scheduler would be the next one. And then sort of I think they called me trip director. That has a different term in politics. It's usually the person that's the advanced lead on but because I was booking the travel, they called me that. And then I guess you could say personal aid, but at the time he had a long-time personal aid, so I was more like his assistant. When I was the point person on the plane, and then when we got into the White House, I was his personal aide, which is like the person with him. And then the last year of the White House, I was his personal aide, and also took on the job of the personnel office, which is like the hiring and stuff.
Did you ever get any pushback because you were young, you were
Oh, yeah.
inexperienced?
Well, definitely when I got the personnel job the last year. Yeah, I think I was 29, and it was a little young for people, but not much. It was just mentioned and like whatever.
Well, how'd you handle that?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, you get so used, especially in politics, you get so used to the media attacking everything that like you can't think about it. You have to just ignore it.
Well, and maybe that's that athlete in you too,
Yeah.
where you
Oh,
took
yeah.
criticism.
Yeah. I took a lot of criticism.
Right. And
I was not very good, but so
who
yeah.
knew at that time when you're taking that criticism how that can help? I
Yeah.
actually think that's an intangible that comes with good athletes.
Yeah.
That in order to be great, you have to fail a lot.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
true.
then you fast forward and you look at people doubting you and questioning your worthiness, frankly.
Yeah.
Like, who's this guy? What has he done to deserve that? And I'm sure it wasn't just, media. I'm sure it's internal too. People are
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
okay. Without any names, give me one story that stood out to you that you felt.
Oh, I mean, well, just like the first time he mentioned me having that job, like the freak out that happened was like intense, and I was like, whatever, like I think I'll do good at it. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but like, some people just went crazy about that. And, it mostly has to do with control and like, you don't want somebody else having something that's that powerful. And, it's just politics. It's not.
You just see, this is maybe the OC coming out in you too a little bit. Like you're just very chill, like
Well, I mean,
chill. And I know a lot of people, and I know myself at that age, when someone would doubt me or say something, I I really let that affect me,
mm.
you know? Um, and then it's like, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I don't
Yeah,
deserve it.
sometimes you think they're right, but like very rarely. Maybe I have an ego or something. Um,
But Trump felt that too, or else he's not bringing just anybody in because you're representing him
right,
as
right.
well as getting stuff done for him. You're representing him publicly, like you're right there alongside him.
Yeah, true.
I mean, that's a big deal. Um, Most stressful time during your time with the administration was what?
Oh my gosh, well, I got fired.
Okay.
So that probably, I worked the first year of the administration, the first year and 2 months, got fired, which was pretty stressful, and then came back the last year of the administration. So sort of that period where I was like waiting to come back, thought maybe I wouldn't, maybe I would. And it's like you work so hard to get where you are, and then it's like, oh, it's all taken away in an instant. It's like, oh, that was rough. But it all worked out in the end. I mean,
Why did you get fired?
so at the time, it had to do with, security clearances and this and that. And at the end of the day, it was because like I was gambling. Um, and it wasn't like that frequent, but I made a lot of money and people were concerned and the bank and the this and we're doing background checks. And at the time, the chief of staff put in these like super hard line things like if your background check isn't clear, you can't be on campus and this and that. It was probably my own fault, but obviously that was a little severe too. So it was like a combination of the two. But I was like, all right, well, I made my bed, I'll sleep in it, and then, bought my time and came back.
So, in hindsight now, how many years ago were you fired?
2018, so six
It's
and a
been a
half.
minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. How bad was it?
Well, in hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened.
How bad was the gambling problem?
Oh, not bad. No, I mean, it was just a lot of money and I won and it was like, okay, you owe taxes. And, it was just like, I'm just being like,
So it wasn't an addiction, it was like a
not an
one-off?
addiction. It was like fun.
Mhm. Were you able to do it online? Was it
No, I
like
would
on
go, yeah, with my
Where would you go?
friends. Like, there's an MGM in DC, we would
Yeah.
go, like,
Yeah, yeah.
or like like, I guess it was a lot of money, but wasn't like, it wasn't like every night I was like,
And they found out through a
the bank.
normal background check?
Yeah, something, like it got cleared up within 4 or 5 months, but like still it was like long.
Well, and then people talk, right? And
Oh
then
yeah. Oh, they still talk. My TikTok comments like, "How's your gambling debt?" It's like, dude, I won. I don't say that. Um, I don't say that, but like it's like, okay, whatever. Um, but yeah.
Well, what did you learn from that time? I imagine there was a part of it, like,
No, I mean being
humbling.
outside, well, yeah, super humbling. But number one, like Tom Brady says, the game goes on. The
Mhm.
next day Air Force One took off and there was somebody in my
Absolutely.
in my job. And it's like, oh, you think like the show goes on.
You're irreplaceable,
Yeah,
and
no,
then
you're not irreplaceable. So that was number one. And then number two, like I said, it was a great thing that happened because I was given such perspective, which a lot of my colleagues didn't get until the administration ended. And they're like, you
interesting.
learn, oh shit, I gotta like, I'm sorry.
No, no, no.
I
Yeah.
gotta like survive in the wild. I gotta like do this over again. I gotta think creatively. Like I'm outside of it. And you also get the perspective of coming back in. It was like, oh, I'm not that I wasn't going hard before because I was his aide. Like you can only do so much. But I was like, oh, I'm just like, I'm going hard this time. And that's what I did. Because it's like, we're all gonna be out anyway, whether it's in a year or 4 years. And when you're out, you're like, oh, I wish I would have,
Mm.
I wish I would have brought my mom to the Christmas party. I wish I
Oh,
would have,
yeah.
I wish I would have told people this or that, or I wish I would have helped get these policies done, or I wish I would have. But then when you go back, it's like, oh, I'm doing it all. I'm doing all the Trump stuff, and I'm bringing my mom to the Christmas party.
Yeah.
I'm like,
How long were you gone for?
I was gone for like a year and a half.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So then you got a round 2, which is so rare.
Very rare, which goes to show, you know, Donald Trump, for any of his flaws, it's like, for him to bring me back, that's a big deal. Like, nobody, George Bush ain't bringing the aide that got fired for gambling back, you know? Like, he might wish him
From a
well.
PR perspective,
You know, it's
can't
just
say that.
like, but he was like, no, yeah, he can come back. And like, there were a lot of people there that like, wanted me back. And like Nick Luna, like, helped me get back and like, just great people. And they're like, yeah, come back, totally. And then when I was there, I was like, oh yeah, let's just do it all, guys. And
Mhm.
yeah, we did the best we could. But
So what was that conversation like when they said you're fired?
oh, it was very abrupt. I went out for a haircut because, like, when you're an aide, you're on 24/7. So you find a time like, oh, he's in this meeting for 2 hours. Okay, I'll run and get a haircut and then come back. And then they're like, oh, the council office wants to see you. And usually they'd ask me, like, oh, like, was the president with this person this weekend? They called about something, whatever. I just like, walked up and they're like, yeah, so background check, something came up, you have to leave. I was like, what? It was like, what? It's like crazy. They're like, yeah, I mean, you can just resign. Like, I'm like, okay, like sign something. Within like 20 minutes, I was out of there. I was like at home, like, what just happened?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really crazy, but it was, it was fine.
Did you get to say bye to the
Oh
president? Did you
no,
get to
no. I mean, I probably could have if I asked, but I
did
was
you,
like,
like,
so like what?
text him like, "Hey, Prez,
No, he
so"
called me
I'm
that night
kidding.
and was like, don't worry about it. It'll all be fine. Like, you're gonna go work on the campaign for a little while. Jared helped me out too. Was like, hey, they'll set you up on the campaign. Like, things
'Cause
happen.
they knew what it was and
Well, they
that
didn't
you're
know
not
the
a
details, but they knew like,
criminal.
well, it's not like as bad
Mhm,
as people think or whatever,
mhm.
so.
So what exactly did you do during that
I
time?
went and worked on the campaign, but there wasn't really a campaign yet. This is 2018. It's like I was technically working with the reelection campaign and doing a little, but then after a few months, I was like, you know what, I'm moving home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I moved back home and quit the campaign.
Really?
Yeah.
And did what?
Um, I did a little consulting work. Some guys helped me out, and then I started an app with a friend. And I was like, let's do the app thing. So we started like an alternative social media thing. It was good. But then within like 4 months of starting that app, they were already calling me to come back. So it was like
Okay.
kind of, so I
But
got
you
my
didn't
first
have
crack
to
at the app world, which is
okay.
actually good, because
Mhm.
I learned so much. Me and my buddy learned a lot about apps. And then when I came out, I was like, let's try an app again, but this time the dating app. And,
Well, but then you had that experience that you would never have had if not for being fired
oh, yeah,
the
no,
first
yeah. It's
time,
like
like
the butterfly effect.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you were financially secure enough, you hadn't gambled everything away, that you didn't have to go home and, like, go work at
No,
Starbucks, right? So
no.
you
I
were
mean,
able to, like, have perspective and, like
yeah. Yeah, it was fine. Yeah, it was okay. Yeah.
and so when they called back, you're like, immediately?
No, like this was like the fall of 2019. Like Nick, who was in my
Okay.
old role, was calling me like, "Hey, the boss wants you back." He was getting married. He was like knew he wanted to kind of like offset his workload. Was like, "Let's bring Johnny back," and like he can start doing some of this stuff too. So that was really cool of him. I still owe him for that.
Mhm.
So the conversation started happening, and then by like January 1st, I mean maybe it was like the 3rd, I was back. Yeah.
Yeah. And were you welcomed? Was it
Yeah, it was great.
that everybody was
Yeah, I mean, at the
that's
time,
cool.
Mick Mulvaney was the chief of staff. He was always super good to
Okay.
me,
Mhm.
and like he was like, "Yeah, great to have you back," and it was
And then
like,
it vamped up quickly.
and then within a month, yeah, it
I
was like,
mean,
"All right, you're taking over this office, and we're doing that," and like he was, yeah,
wow.
it was just like we went, and then unfortunately, it was the COVID year, and like we did a lot of great things in the personnel office. We were given a lot of leeway, but that year really messed things up. Like it was just, I don't know. I hate that year, the COVID year, but we still
Yeah, so
did the
from
best we
a
could.
I mean, yeah, gosh, obviously every person on the planet has a story or was affected um, by the pandemic and all the rules and regulations that came down with it.
Yeah.
What we know what it was like, what the president at that time said to us. What was it like inside the White House
Yeah, I mean,
during
I
that
think
time?
everyone was doing the best they could, but there were some of us that thought, maybe we are going a little too far here, and like maybe we should just take a step back and maybe we should like maybe these bureaucrats aren't getting everything right and maybe the things we're doing might be more harmful than the actual thing that everyone fears. And like when that was happening, it was like, oh guys, like this is getting a little out of control, and the lockdowns and yeah, everyone's like, well, we don't know. And like okay, but like, how long can this go on? And I think it went on a little too long. And like, I was at the time, we're still doing our job. We're interviewing candidates, we're placing people, we're doing a lot of stuff. And I remember interviewing or talking to this guy, Brian Brooks, who was working at the Treasury Department or comptroller. And he's like, you know what you guys should do is like bring in somebody to counter Fauci. At least let's get another opinion, you know? And we did. We brought in.
That's what we always are told, to go get a
Yeah.
second opinion.
And it was like a brilliant idea. And I was like, brilliant. I was like, who? He's like, there's this guy at Stanford, Scott Atlas. Like, have him come in. Like, he could be a White House advisor. At least let's like get another opinion on all
Yes.
this, And we did. And he did a great job. But like, they kind of sidelined him a little bit. And it was like, oh, like we're trying to, let's just kind of get a little difference of opinion on some of this stuff. Now,
Yeah.
In other ways, the response was amazing because of what you could accomplish and like how the federal government could do different things. But, there was this kind of Scott Atlas view that some of us had, which was like, we're going a little far.
Did you guys have, conversations with the president about that? Like, did you have, I know you sit around and you're on the plane and you're all chatting and talking,
no,
but
it
it's
was
like,
talked about every day, it was the focus of the world at the time. And he did the best he could with
so that's the thing.
Information available.
With the information available. I remember at that time, and as a mom and had 3 kids that were in like junior high and high school, and I'm living in Connecticut, and so we're completely shut down. And I'm sitting there going, I'm no scientist, no doctor. I'm sitting there going, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
It's just something. And then it was doing a little bit of homework and realizing, wait a minute. So if we're calling this a COVID death, even if they come in with a fractured skull from a car accident, we're going to call it
shot in a drive-by, but he was a COVID death.
COVID death. Yeah, no big deal. And then when you go to the hospital and they die there, well, then that hospital gets $40,000 for calling it a COVID death. Like when you start doing all the research, this is in May of 2020. I remember just being like, what is going on? And I'm a rule follower, and I comply with, like that's just good little Catholic girl. It's what you do. You follow the rules. And then I'm like, this doesn't feel, what is it? And then the vaccine. And I think for so many Americans, and I'm sure you felt the same way, just with a different perspective, like I want to trust. And then when you saw things getting political, and when Trump was like, they're like, hurry up, Donald Trump, get that vaccine out there. You better hurry, you better go, 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 go. And then people on the left are like, I'm not touching that thing that Donald Trump created. And then he's out of office and Biden comes in, and it's, if you don't get it, then you're evil and you want everybody to die.
If you don't get it, you can't hold your newborn or go to a concert or eat in LA. It was that.
Or Connecticut or many different
I
places.
think during the time also, like, he had the like, well, let's let the states decide
a
lot of the policy. And like, that was great if Kristi Noem was your governor or something, but it wasn't great if Gavin Newsom was your governor.
Exactly.
But, it was kind of like, well, is it my place to say? It was just very...
It was tough.
It was a confusing time. And then the vaccine, of course, the mandates went totally out of control. And like, but that was during the first year of Biden.
That was not you.
That was not me. Yeah, no, that was not me.
But I can't imagine. I said earlier, did you have conversations? I meant more casual conversations, just, kind of.
Well, yeah, it was always brought
with the guys,
up.
But constantly. And it's like, what do we do? Are we doing the right thing? The inconsistencies with the mask rules, and then at a restaurant, if you're sitting, you're fine. You stand up to pee. Oh my God, you're all gonna die.
Yeah.
So that's where
put it down to eat. Okay. I make TikToks making fun of that, or I used to when it was more relevant. But
I'm just imagining being in that kind of a role and having to make decisions for millions and millions of people, like the pressure.
Well, especially, he only has the information that's available that they're presenting, and he wants to keep everyone safe, like he has the best interests of the American people, so when they say like, you can't let people go outside, you need to tell them to stay inside, and like, otherwise everyone's going to die. It's like, okay, well, they're all telling me that,
I
so
know.
it's like, it's just a tricky position to be in.
So without Monday morning quarterbacking, right? Although that's kind of what this question is, but I think we've all had to say, okay, what would I change? What would I do differently? Because there's going to be a next time.
Oh, I hope not.
Well, we all hope not. And now if we don't consider it, then we're idiots based on what has just happened and how it went down, right? And how everybody just went, okay, right? So if there is another, please God, we hope not. Like, and if you're in the administration again, like,
I don't think I will be, but yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But like, what would okay, fine. Having witnessed it from a different perspective,
Yeah.
like personally, what do you do differently? Like, what would you advise? And again, if you're living in California, like you are now, it's going to be different. You're going to have different rules probably. But
Yeah.
how would we as a society kind of do things differently? Do we all just stand up and say no, wait, no, and let me decide my own? Like, there's risks in that. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the issue has definitely gotten so political. So it depends who's in office. If it's a Democrat, they're going to go as far as they can. We've seen it push the limits, like in California. I don't know why. Are they drunk on power? Like, what is this about? Why do they love seeing small businesses closed and kids
mm,
not be able to go to school? And like, what is their, like, I don't know. It's just such a disturbing time to see like Democrats, like, what's the big deal if he misses his high school football season? It's like, that's a big deal. Like, oh, it's just prom. That's a big
my
deal.
daughter didn't get that,
It's like,
these are rites of passage for
yeah,
kids,
it
right?
just, and like to know that it doesn't really affect kids, I think would be the biggest thing. But again, if it's not COVID, it could be something different and maybe it does affect kids. So it's too hard to say. I mean, at the end of the day, I hope it's not Democrats in control, I guess. I don't
And
know.
yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. And in anything in life, it's like, okay, that really sucked. And here's what I learned,
Yeah.
you know? Whether it's a pandemic or whether it's getting fired,
Yeah.
like what did you learn about yourself during your lowest time there, where it was like you're shocked, you get the news, you're fired, you're out. It's probably embarrassing in some ways, but then you come back and you come back stronger, right? Like
Yeah.
if you don't learn something from tough times, then that's a missed opportunity, right? Like
Yeah.
what did you learn about yourself?
That like it passes, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you feel like it won't. And it's like, no, it'll pass. So like having an optimistic mindset is tough, but like if you can do that, like it all works out ish.
Yeah, yeah, and how it's supposed to as well. Like for
Yeah.
me,
Just keep going, just keep going. And that's actually like a Trump thing is like never lose your momentum.
mm,
Like even if something bad happens, like you keep going, like industry to industry, success or failure to success or failure, you just keep your momentum. And I
mhm.
think that's an important.
Is there a faith aspect for you? You said I mean, you grew up Catholic,
I
right?
grew up Catholic, yeah.
Yeah. So is are you still
Well, I mean, I definitely
practicing
believe in
or
God. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm practicing. I don't go to church as much as I should, but
Mhm,
do the best I can. I mean, I think that's the center of it. Like believing in God, believing in yourself,
mhm.
knowing that like He wants you to be the best version of yourself. You know,
Yes, yes,
and like
and it's such an evolution. That
yeah,
whole thing is an evolution especially when you're Catholic and this is what you're supposed to do and you get a CCD and like there's a structure and then you
yeah,
get your confirmation at a certain age. Like it's all very scripted and then you go to college and then you're an adult and you're like, I'm really tired. I got back late last night.
yeah,
And then you become a parent and you try to instill that in your kids and hope that they practice it. But I find as I'm older, um, oh my gosh, thank good I'd be dead without it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just wish it hadn't taken me as long to go back and find it,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it seems like you said, with your app, I mean, that's probably a big part of it. Most conservatives tend to at least have a belief in God,
Oh, for sure.
right?
Yeah.
So
And then I think like purpose is like a big
yeah.
thing, like whether it's like your career or your family or like, and then I think that's what's missing now in America sometimes is like people they're lacking like purpose and like what is it? Like why are we here? What do I want to do? And like, I think when people find that purpose, it's like the most rewarding
Yeah.
life.
Well,
Yeah.
what's yours?
Oh gosh, what's my purpose? I'm still figuring it out. I mean, I think there was always a great line like I liked that was like our purpose is to do good for others.
Mhm,
What the others are here for, I don't know.
mhm.
Um, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I just want to I'm definitely conservative. Like, I want to see my country thrive for sure. Like, that's always what I think about. It's like, I don't like some of the things happening. I like the fact that we had the biggest middle class ever and we're the most prosperous, but also the most charitable. I like that,
I do too.
like we were we're like this amazing country with a great history. And like, even if we have these faults of the past, like, we're so much better than like what we've done and achieved here is just so great. I don't want to see it fall.
Right.
And people are like, oh, it's the end. Like there's no coming back from it. I don't think that.
Mm.
I think it goes like this and like maybe we're here, but maybe we're due for something big, and like,
I like the charitable word, and it's so true. I talked about this with somebody the other day, and whenever there's anything crazy that happens around the world, a natural disaster, some sort of tragedy, earthquake, tsunami, you name it, who do they call?
yeah,
It's
not
always
Ghostbusters.
yeah, and you're not calling pretty much any other country.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
even when we can't afford it,
right.
which we literally cannot, we are always giving
Yeah,
and trying to help.
yeah. And I think these things are separate as like us as individuals giving and like giving to church and giving to other countries and giving to charity versus like giving $100 billion in weapons to Ukraine. I want to separate those two things because
Let's
that's just the
separate.
DC industry. What we're talking about is like the heart of like the average American and like,
Mhm.
give people this power. Give like China or Russia or anywhere else, like make them the sole superpower and this wealthy and this, see what they do. They won't be like us.
Yeah,
Like we're very unique.
yeah.
And I don't think that'll be our downfall. I think if we figure ourselves out, that could be our next revival.
I mean, there's so many things, unfortunately, to choose from right now when you say, "Okay, what's your biggest concern with where we are today in America?"
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I know, but, like,
There's
your
so many.
your your biggest concern.
Okay, so well, I'm optimistic. I'm super optimistic
Sure.
long term for the country. Regardless of November, I think Trump will win. I think, he'll be more successful in a second term than a first term because of things we learned. Obviously, I prefer it to, Joe Biden or whatever. But thinking longer term, I think the mood and the appetite of the country is actually getting more conservative. People like say, no way, like the country's so progressive now. It's like, I don't know about that. I think the appetite for a lot of right wing things is there and growing. So I'm optimistic. My biggest concern, I guess, would be um, well, my biggest political concern is immigration, just because, it's happening, it's too much, too soon, too fast. It's like we have to chill, whether it's legal, illegal, what, like, we just got to relax because the balkanization of the country is my biggest concern, where we have all these different tribes. And instead of being united and like understanding who we are, we're a unique people. That doesn't mean we're a certain race, it doesn't mean like we are a unique people in a certain, like with a shared history, like in this place. What does that mean? What does it mean to be an American? And like if you just flood it with new people and like it's just we need to assimilate, we need to
No.
breathe, we need to understand who we are. And
Mhm.
so I think, yeah, I mean, in terms of like a policy, like immigration in general is like, you know, we gotta relax on that. But
It's
I'm
just
optimistic about the country and the culture.
yes, again, I keep forgetting who I was talking to who have been saying certain things that have really resonated with me, but it's about no matter what, we bounce back.
Yeah.
Americans bounce back. That's what we do. So I'm with you. I do think there's so much positive. And even if I weren't as optimistic, there's still nowhere else I'd rather be. No,
Oh
I'm
yeah, for
looking forward
sure.
to going to visit. We're talking about Italy outside. I'm looking forward to go visiting those
Yeah,
places,
no,
but I don't
yeah.
want to go live there. I look at the immigration thing as part of national security,
Yeah.
and what's happening every day down there is insane. And then I had a wonderful Uber driver this morning who is from the Middle East and is trying to do it the right way to bring his family over here
Mm,
and taking years and years to do it and get the correct visas and everything. And I'm like, see, like that's one of the things. That's one of the problems is
yeah.
that you have so many people who are following the law and doing it the right way to become an American. They value what we represent. They value that we're giving him the opportunity to do it the right way.
Right.
And then he's like, well, look, maybe I should just
Yeah,
go
yeah.
south of the border and walk right over with my kids, and I don't
Yeah.
have to do this. You know what I mean? So that's where I fear for our country right now. I can be optimistic, but still fearful, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a free for all.
Yeah, it's a free for all,
And
yeah.
when others sense weakness in football, right?
Mm.
The defense is prepared. When they look at you as the quarterback and they see that deer in the headlights, they're coming hard and they're going to blitz every single time.
Right.
Like there's no how good was that off the top
That
of
was
my
great.
football?
That was great.
Like that's exactly what these other countries do too, as they should. When you sense, when you smell, when you feel weakness, and that's where we are. So I have to tell you, like I'm super concerned now more than ever.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess November will decide if most people agree with us or.
Or
Uh,
will it? Because I don't trust the system anymore.
oh, okay, yeah,
I mean,
interesting.
no one's talking enough about the election system, and
Yeah.
why should we trust that system? Why are people just thinking it's fine? Trump's going to come in November, and it's all going to be better and get back on track.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you can't not trust the system because that means everyone stays home and says it's rigged anyway. So you need to go out
I'm
and
going to do it anyway. I'm just
right.
saying.
Everyone needs to still do it and get people to vote and register to vote and do all of those things. And then collectively or state by state, we need to decide how we want our elections to work, and we need to work towards that. And like people are doing that.
They are, and
Um,
look at what the RNC is doing and what Lara Trump has
yeah,
done
and that's
ahead of the
important. And it's
elections,
like
right?
I think maybe we should all vote on the same day, and maybe it should only be
I totally agree.
like we need to all agree and kind of come
The
together
early
and say,
voting is
yeah,
disastrous. And I've always said this: may the best man win in anything. I don't care if it's football or UFC or a presidential campaign.
right,
Just it's fine. I can accept it if it's done the right way.
right,
It's really simple. Okay, it's interesting because your dating app, it's your dating app, and then your social media.
yeah,
Obviously, it's all tied together. But like, I didn't know initially when I
saw the
first
video,
started
yeah,
seeing you in my feed. I'm like, okay, who's this guy? What's he saying? This is a long time ago.
yeah, yeah,
And I didn't know it was at the dating app. I thought you were just
being
giving
funny,
these incredible hot takes with
yeah.
really good food in front of you.
It's sort of evolved over time. I mean, when you have a startup, you don't have a huge budget, and like it's like, how do we bring people to our page? And like when we're thinking of things, we're like, well, I think we should use just organic social media. And it's like, but it's hard to go viral. And it's like, well, you need to find a formula that works. So we just keep trying ideas. We had a girl that was working with us when we first launched that had a lot of great ideas, and she started putting me in them and was like, "You should say this, you should do that," And it started working and kind of just evolved over time, like me just saying like a liberal or conservative take, and like I was at a restaurant because I was pretending to be on a date, and then it just kind of evolved and like turned into this thing, and it works to bring people to our page. And then now hopefully we can like supplement it with more dating stuff as well. But like I said, I did the 50 dates.
Cute.
We've done different things, but we have fun with the social media, and it's fun to see it
Okay,
grow.
so tell me, it's huge. You're well over 1 million followers now, just on Instagram. I'm sure there's a TikTok
Oh, there's a
presence, et cetera. Is the
TikTok. We love
TikTok
TikTok.
even more than?
I think the TikTok is bigger. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you're okay with that? China's watching.
Yeah, I don't buy into all that,
You
honestly. I
don't really,
don't. Yeah, I think that's a little overblown.
really.
Hmm.
Well, at the end of the day, it is still, whether you believe it or not, it is still such an influential platform.
Everyone's there,
What
there's
do you do?
170 million Americans on it. So that's also why our TikTok did well, was probably like no one was doing this on TikTok. I mean, not many people,
Yeah,
everyone
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, China, we won't touch it. We're Republicans. I was like, I'll go on it. I don't care.
I'll go for it. We're just talking about dating. It's fine. So I'm like, when I hear your take, I'm like, why didn't I think of that? That's such a great. So what's that process like? Tell me it's not just all you
No, it is not all me. It's
coming
very
up with
little
that.
me. I'm
Okay, good.
just an paid actor. Um, no, I have a colleague that helps. People send us a lot of ideas. And then also like memes. People send us memes like, turn this into a video. And
Yeah.
then we just kind of do our spin on it. But it's like really funny. And we're like, oh, okay. So I could be like a mom say this and a kid and say that. And it's like everyone's like sending us ideas now, especially because it's gotten big.
It's so, but they're so true.
Yeah.
Do you have people trying to like argue again? I guess it goes back to, people with no life are going to come after you and write DMs. But at the end of the day, everything you say, it makes sense. And you're pointing out these hypocrisies.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it resonates with a lot of people. I mean, I think that's why it's grown. And like, there's a little bit of hate, and like sometimes people in the comments, I guess, are going off. I don't really look or like care. But
It's part of it.
yeah, we're just
How do
like,
you choose where you eat?
I actually eat at like almost the same places, and I don't know if people notice that yet. It's like it's always the same burger. But I also travel a lot for work, so my other work, And
What other work?
I mean, I still like dabble in politics and like have a
You
little,
just like throw that in. And my other work.
yeah. So I travel. I'm in like DC or New York or Nashville and then I try different restaurants. People are always like, where is that? You know, tag the restaurant.
Do you tag them? I mean, I feel like
Usually, yeah. I mean,
sometimes,
yeah, I'll
most
give
of the
them a
time.
shout out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But then who's shooting it for you?
whoever I'm with.
Okay.
So it's a lot of different people. Usually it's my friends.
Yeah.
And
But do you guys have like a running, I'm sure, like, you drop
we just
off
have
like
a running list of ideas.
and
And then if something happens like the debate, we're like, oh, we need to do a debate specific one.
it's easy. Yeah.
But if like today I'm just going to lunch, I'll be like, all right, what do we have today? Okay, get whatever, vaccinated or whatever, one of these transgender, we just have a running list of all of them.
What's your favorite?
My favorite video? Whichever one has the most views.
Come on. There's a lot of views on a lot of them.
My favorite video, probably, last year when I was doing it, we would do like a bunch of different scenes, like liberal at a football game or liberal at a baseball game. And I did like POV, your track coach is a liberal. And it was like, I don't know, it's just a bunch of funny stuff. So maybe that one. That's my mom's favorite. So I'll say
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, that matters. Like, did you know you had the acting chops?
No, no. No, I was going on Fox last week and I heard the intro in my ear. I'm like, what? They're like, this comedian. I'm like, I'm not a comedian.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I'm just a guy,
I'm just a paid actor. I mean,
I'm just a paid actor. Yeah. No.
What was your degree at Yukon?
I don't even know. Sociology.
They're like, here, take the diploma and go. Just go away.
C- counts.
Right. Okay, so the other job specifically is what?
Yeah, I mean, I still work in politics. So I work for the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, which is in the news a lot. Yep. And just a few other firms, just political consulting work.
Okay. Yeah. You downplay everything. That's what I've learned about you
Well,
today.
I mean, it's not that exciting, I mean, the heritage stuff is exciting, but
I would say.
Yeah.
And the Project 2025.
Yeah, that's been
for those who don't know,
big in the news this week.
Yes, go ahead.
Go on left-wing Twitter. It's everywhere. Yeah, no, I mean, so think tanks have different policies they propose. Heritage is unique that it did a huge, massive book. It does this of like conservative policies that a future administration could champion. And it was like very all-encompassing of the conservative movement, 100 organizations. But it's turned into this kind of boogeyman of the left and like this is what Trump's going to do if he gets into power and it's the right-wing takeover of America. And, they just go crazy with it. So I was never part of the policy stuff. I'm just focused on the personnel and like how we should structure that. Like what's helpful that we learn, like what would be helpful to a future administration, who are people that have worked in all the previous administrations that, are good, that, like all of these different things and like staffing the president with good people. And, I think he deserves that. So that's the part we've been focused, or my team's been focused on. I don't really have to do with the policy stuff, even though I agree with probably most of it. But yeah, it's gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah. So, and no surprise, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
or is it because of the magnitude?
I don't think anyone there thought it would get this big, but like the left kind of smells blood and just goes crazy. So this is their thing. They've determined that Project 2025 is their thing, and they're not going to stop until ever, until, I don't know, the election's over or something. No, it probably won't even stop then. They're just going to drag this on. It's just this, they get a narrative and they're just going to go with it. And like, one of the most important things I always tell people when they want to work in politics is you cannot cave to media pressure. They're just going to go crazy. If you're doing something conservative, they're going to go crazy. They're not going to let you do that. They don't want it. But just don't cave to that. Just stay focused, So it'll be interesting to see over the next few months if people start, how this evolves. And, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Would you, can you see yourself long term with that, with politics in general? I mean, I feel like it keeps bringing you back one way or another. Yeah. As a politician ever?
That's very cringe to say,
I know.
I need your vote. I don't know.
Paid actor, you could do it.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, never say never, but yeah, I mean, my country is my passion, you know? So like, sure. Yeah. I want to definitely like make money and start a family and buy a house. But
Mm-hmm.
after that, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I could see it coming back into it.
And what do you see? Let's say everything goes as conservatives, most conservatives, not all, but as the Trump family hopes it goes in November. What do you see as the immediate impact of him returning for a second term?
Well, I think most people will be optimistic, which in itself will kind of like solve a lot of things, whether that's business people being more optimistic. That means, you know, more money coming in, more things being built, like all of that. Just if the optimism changes because people are kind of down right now
Yeah.
for whatever reason, whether it's
Mhm.
inflation or because of, you know, just all these different reasons. So I think the optimism could change. In terms of the policies, obviously you're going to see, you know, like the border is gonna get fixed. Like, you know,
Right away.
this is his issue and like people want it. Even the media is like, this is out of control.
I'm hoping that there's some semblance of trust that can be built back up with the media too, which is that's asking a lot.
That's
That might
asking
be
a
glass
lot.
half empty versus glass half full as far as optimism, right?
Mhm.
But I do believe in our greatness. I'm an Army kid, you know,
Right.
as a country, and that we can get back. But no matter what, hopefully these last few years have provided perspective for a lot of people. And it's one reason why you're dating up. And everything you're doing has taken off because I think people are desperate for common sense.
Mhm.
Like, don't you think that's what it comes down to?
Yeah, I think so.
Common sense with all of it.
Yeah, I think that's why people like our page and what we're doing. It's like, you know, they don't like being lied to,
Yeah.
you know? And like, no matter how many times you say it, like, a man isn't a woman. And like, you know what I mean? It's just like all this stuff that seems so basic and silly, but it's like they don't like being lied to, you know?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just want to hear it like it is, you know? Um, yeah.
Well, listen, I know you don't take what you've done as like courageous or anything, but there's see, I need to roll your eyes at me.
I'm not rolling.
But it's kind of, and I'm not that's a strong word
Yeah,
coming
that
from a
is.
daughter of an Army soldier. Like, I
Yeah, that's
understand.
courageous. Yeah.
Got it. However, it does take, there's many other words I could use, some aren't appropriate, but like it does take some semblance of courage to say, you know what, I'm gonna go try this as an entrepreneur. I'm gonna go try this, and it might fall on this face, but you know what? It's worth a try, right?
Right.
From a business perspective. And like you've done that. And you could have been like, no, I'm gonna stay over here where it's safe. And you've done it. And look at the response. I think it's awesome. And
so
it seems like
nice.
you're having fun.
Oh, we're having a lot of
like
fun.
a blast with it, right?
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun.
How many people do you have my age? Like 50 plus?
So the average age is like early 30s. It was like
Yeah.
28, 29 for a while. Now I think it's like 31, 32
That's annoying.
is the average age. Now we do have,
Can we?
now the first Right Stuff wedding, they were both in their 40s.
Okay.
And I went to it. It was in Connecticut.
Really?
Yeah, Mystic.
Right wing weddings in Connecticut? I was just in Mystic over on 4th of July.
Yeah, it was in
That's so
Mystic.
funny. But of all places, you think there's gonna be a conservative wedding. It is not
I
Connecticut.
know. So that was the yeah, so there's all ages, but
Okay.
yeah, it definitely is more late 20s, early 30s. Yeah, I think that's just because like the people we're targeting mostly, you know, it's just you're targeting like working people in like New York and LA that are like haven't, you know, like they're not in like the party phase, they're looking to settle down. It's like it's all like around that age, you know.
Listen, don't discriminate against old people.
We don't. Everyone is welcome on the Right Stuff.
Equal employment, equal opportunity.
And you're not old, but yes, everyone is welcome.
Hashtag old.
Yeah.
Number. It's
I think
just
if you
a
put your age at
number.
like 35, everyone would think it was, you know, they
We'll
were
just
also
keep
did-
filters
yeah,
on.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. We'll just keep filters on everything. I love it. And I love your story. Even the parts that aren't like, that were maybe difficult. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, your perspective is really, really cool. Like, you're just chill. This is why everybody loves California. You're just
Yeah.
like, hey, okay, it happened. Next. And now this is what I'm doing. And now, Project 2025. Bring it. Let's go.
Google it.
I hate you. You just said it. Google it. Thank you. And I'm going to post later. I'm going to show all my new swag.
Okay, let's go.
Thank you. I'll work on the swag game too.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.